Everybody, this is ZT's Irish, and I'm actually going to discuss a little bit about Civ 6. This morning, I actually, logged into Steam and saw the Civ 6 announcement. Now, as some of you might know, I'm on Civ Fanatics and such, so I did have a good idea that Civ 6 was coming this year from people that I know over at Civ Fanatics forums, and also from the fact that hey, nothing else is coming out in 2016 except for maybe Rising Tide, or a new expansion after the Beyond Earth Rising Tide expansion, and maybe an XCOM 2 DLC. So you have to wonder when's Civ 6 coming out. So I had a decent idea that it was coming out, or at least going to be announced from other sources and from my own intuition partially. So let's go ahead and watch the intro.
We are the explorers, the inventors, the architects of change, the builders of a better tomorrow. We strive, we dream, we inspire, always towards something greater. All the odds we defy, the risks we take, the challenges we endure, only make us stronger. There's no end to our imagination. And no limit to civilization.
October 21st, 2016. So needless to say, when I saw this, the hype was very real. Now, what I'm hoping out of this entry in the genre, or entry in the civilization line of games, is a game that is going to be eventually, when it receives its expansions and such, more complex than Civ V in the way that you can do stuff. I would like to have more options. That's kind of my hope for this game. Now, as many of you may know, you always hear the Civ 4 people saying Civ 5 was dumbed down, and this kind of thing. It was simplified and was streamlined, and it did try to grab a lot more people. Now, I can't say this from experience, but I do believe Civ 5 could benefit from more detail in the long run, not after the first game, not after the game just comes out. So I do hope that they build on Civ 5 and make it essentially a reworked and better Civ 5 with more options. But let's go ahead and look at a couple of the screenshots and discuss them a little bit. So here's one. Now this one was a little bit surprising and a little bit shocking to me in a couple ways. Now, this is not necessarily a bad thing. Now, the first thing that clearly caught my eye is just how cartoonish the style is. I don't really like this, but this isn't a big deal to me. Now, why I don't like this is a lot of games have been going for that cartoony style to try to, remain looking good for many years later. Because what the cartoony style lends itself to is it's easy on the eyes, and when newer, shinier games come out, you can look back at the cartoony style and you're like, okay, that doesn't look that bad. but it's also the style that you use for a casual game like Civ Revolution, right? Those games that are on handheld and such. So to me, seeing this, it's a little weird because Civ V came out in 2010, and it had, honestly, arguably better graphics than this. Arguably. So, I don't know why you would go with this. Now, I want to, obviously, it'd be great to make this game accessible to everybody, but it's 6 years later. 6 years later, in terms of computer years, is a very long time. I mean, technology has progressed. We want to see better looking graphics, and I honestly don't think that the cartoony style is the best way to go. Does this upset me greatly? Am I not going to buy the game because of it? No. I still think it's going to be a good game. But, again, I disagree with the art style, and I think after 6 years of waiting for a new Civ, we should have had better graphics. That's my personal 2 cents on that. Does it really matter in the end? Not really. That much. If the game is good, it doesn't really matter. And the good news is the color palette is very bright, so that'll be nice to look at for an extended period of time. But again, you're appealing to an audience that is somewhat not hardcore to the level of Crusader Kings 2, but takes quite a bit of time playing this game. So this might off-put some people initially, but again, if the game is good, I don't think it should be the end of it. And I hope that this game appeals to audience members, that people have played Civ V before and want to go a little deeper. That's what I hope. Again, that's my hope with this. Another thing to note, and this is just a very minor note. Now, I don't see any city-states in these screenshots that I can tell anyways. I mean, I see a city here, but that's part of the same country, it looks like. A couple things I'd like to mention. So here you see 2 horses and 4 soldiers, 4 samurai. That's what I assume here. They definitely look like samurai. I'm not a big fan of this. 4 soldiers. I would like to feel like armies are clashing. And this is even less soldiers than were represented in Civ V. I would like to feel like armies are clashing, and I think that having 4 little guys here looks cool and all, and you can see the models, but honestly, it doesn't give you the feeling that you've mustered an army. And for me, that's important. For some people, they don't give a flying crap if it does. But for me, it matters. For me, I don't want to have a whole bunch of 2 horse units here next to each other and be like, hey, look at my cool army. It's got 10 horses. To me, that feels incredibly lackluster. And I know that the way that they're doing the game with multiple units on tiles, per tile, it would be difficult to do that. But I believe that they could add far more models and just make them smaller to make you feel like you have an army. I feel that is important to me. Look at the boat. That is 1 boat and 1 boat here. That also feels a little bit strange. I would like to have a fleet come out of my city. I would like to feel like I've created something great. Civilization is about creating great things, creating massive armies, and just pushing civilization forward. And these unit models are very simplistic, and they're great at representing what the unit is and allowing you to see what the units are. But in terms of making you feel like you've created something great and you've created a massive army, it fails utterly. Now, whether that's a big deal to you or not is up to you. It really is. So anyways, it looks like there's a kind of a similar setup here. You have what appears to be an academy. It looks like an amphitheater. So I feel like this is like an academy. This is an academy improvement. Perhaps it's an amphitheater improvement. A lumber mill here. Actually, I would say this is more of the Academy. Looking at it again, I'd say this is the Academy and this is the Amphitheater improvement. So you've got your various different improvements everywhere. Here you have what seems to be either a circus, probably a circus, perhaps an encampment. Here you have something else. I'm not sure exactly what's going on over here. It looks like it could be a scientific building as well, but I can't really tell. Either way, it looks fairly similar to Civ V, which is a little bit of a disappointment. But I don't think the Civ V model is bad. I just think that Civ V had issues with cluttering, not only with units, but with the way the terrain was. I personally wanted the map to be a little bigger, to feel a little bigger, and I think that sticking to this is too conservative, unfortunately. And now that this has been revealed, obviously there's no going back. So this is what we're going to be getting. So I'm a little disappointed, but if they make it better than Civ V, I think I'll be okay with it. Now let's look a little bit more into the actual game itself. So the game is about $60, and the digital deluxe edition, which I believe includes lots of different, should I say? I think it signs you up to some of the different DLCs or something. It's written somewhere down here. Explain your blah 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 blah, which includes the full base game, 4 post-launch DLC packs that will add new maps, scenarios, civilizations, and leaders for a bundle discount. You know, if you love Civ, you can feel free to grab it. I personally will not touch the digital deluxe edition because it's not that I don't believe in Civ, but Civ V was quite basic right off the bat, and it felt more like a full-fledged game after 1 expansion, for me even 2. So I'm going to hold off on this, and once I hear more about Civ VI, I will consider buying the regular game. Now I really truly highly doubt that I will purchase this game until I get to hear what people have to say, and until perhaps later there is a discount involved. I may be involved heavily in, meeting, speaking with the other people who, over at Civ Fanatics and who love the game, but I don't imagine this game being that different that I will put down 60 for it early on. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe some of the new things will make me want to play this game instead. I really don't know. But I will probably not grab this right away. I will wait, and I will watch, and I will see what happens and get opinions. Because Civ V was a bit of a mess on launch. Is it great now? I'd say so. But on launch, probably not. So I'm gonna wait, and I'm gonna watch and see what happens. Another thing to note is the Steam controller is on sale with this bundle. So, if you need a controller and you're big on those, Castle Crashers type games and such, one of my friends has this controller. He seems to like it a lot. But again, I digress. Let's look at these. Now, this is what I really want to. This is really what I want to look at and discuss with you guys. This is actually why I made this video. So, originally created by the game designer Sid Meier, Civilizations, blah blah blah. You guys all know this. Civ VI offers new ways to engage with your world. Cities now physically expand across the map. Okay, so this is nice. I actually like this. I've wanted this to be implemented. I've wanted cities to feel more epic and not just be a tile. Now, my assumption with this is that the map would be bigger and allow cities to be bigger by allowing the map to be bigger and have more space. What happens with physically expanding cities is that they take more space on a perhaps already crowded map. This is very frustrating for me, okay? Because we've asked them, we've wanted bigger cities we've wanted cities to feel more epic, more like achievements, but we've constantly complained about 1 unit per tile and some of the issues that it brings, right? Like when you can't walk around a city-state, or you can't walk around a country because its territory is taking over the land, right? So with even bigger cities, I mean, obviously the cities, obviously if you're at war with, for example, this country, you wouldn't be able to walk through here, right? But if you're not at war and you've got an open border treaty, you can't even walk through here if the city expands to this tile or that tile because the mountain's in the way. So I'm thinking about this and I'm thinking, okay, so you guys have had 6 years. We've told you your map is crowded. What have you done? You've added more units on a tile, but you have not fixed the size of the map. The maps are small. I mean, they're crowded again. That's the issue. And the issue is here again. And this is one of the most major issues. And I don't understand why it isn't fixed. You can put more units on a tile, but bigger maps would allow your cities to grow bigger and to feel more epic. Instead, you have these crowded situations again. I'm really not a big fan of this crowded Civ again. It makes me very upset that they didn't make it any bigger. Is it because they don't want to go to 64-bit systems? I don't know. I really don't know. What I do know is that they chose not to fix this again, and that annoys me greatly because I was expecting Civ VI to have a bigger map. You can increase movement speed of units, whatever you want to do. But I really believe that the unit crowding issue and the crowding of the map will be solved by making a bigger map. Here, it looks like you're going to be just as crowded as you were in Civ V. And that's a major thing. They didn't fix it. Apart from being able to put maybe 2 units in, or maybe potentially even 3 in here, they did not fix it. That is a smudge on Civ VI immediately, unfortunately. Will Civ VI be better than Civ V? Yes, but now it is greatly limited because of the conservative approach they have taken to making this map. I guess that's the way I feel about that. That's my 2 cents on that. Let's sit back here, right? So, see the marvels of your empire spread across the map like never before. Each city spans multiple tiles, so you can custom build your city to take full advantage of the local terrain. Again, your cities are bigger, therefore blocking even more terrain than they used to for anybody walking through. Now, you're going to say that shouldn't matter, but in situations where you're allied with somebody and you want to walk through, you can't. Maybe you can. Actually, maybe you can walk through the city. Either way, I think the map still feels crowded, and this is going to aggravate the problem greatly. If you're not going to, if you're not going to have the base game be different, maybe put a mode where the maps can be bigger, because this is extremely frustrating with the amount of problems that Civ V had with clutter. You haven't fixed it with Civ VI. I'm not sure what to tell you. Let's move on. Active research. Unlocks boosts that speed your civilization's progress throughout history to advance more quickly. Use your units to actively explore, develop your environment, and discover new cultures. Okay, so let's look at the first statement. Unlocks boosts that speed your civilization's progress through history. Okay, this to me sounds like you're trying to appeal to casual players that would like to have a game that goes by quicker. Civ V was already appealing to casual players by being simple. I don't know what your goal is with this. I imagine that the goal is to make you feel like things are going a little faster. I assume this is something that's going to be overpowered in the beginning and perhaps later nerfed, and maybe it'll be less of a big deal. But this seems a bit gimmicky to me, just like the big city seems a bit gimmicky. It's a great idea. Unfortunately, the implementation is not great. So I don't know about this. I know that there are research boosters. I mean, there are boosters in Endless Legend that help you, get more resources of A, B, or C, and they do help the game become more interesting once in a while. Like you get this sudden boost, and you're like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. But I think this sounds like an appeal to get casuals in, and that's already what happened with Civ 5. You wanted to get casual players, and you've got them in. Now, move forward with more detail. And I think that this right here is an attempt to get casual players, and I don't think it's worth anything. I think this was a waste of time and shouldn't have been implemented. But perhaps it will be interesting if used very carefully and in moderation. It could make the game interesting, but I don't see what it adds to the game apart from a little feature that makes things a little faster and gives you a little, like, wow, things are happening faster now kind of feeling. And maybe later I'll kind of like that, but for now I feel like that's a feature that should not be highlighted, and I feel like should be an extra little thing, and that has no place in a game in which you slowly, strategically win. To me, this is worth very little. To advance more quickly, use your units to actively explore, develop your environment, and discover new cultures. Okay, use your units to actively explore, develop your environment, and discover new cultures. Actively explore, okay, we've always done that with explorers. Okay, develop your environment. Okay, you're going to be building farms on it, or whatever else. Okay, discover new cultures. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this. Maybe this is a new mechanic. Maybe you're discovering other countries. I'm assuming what they're saying is you're maybe getting some sort of trait. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this. This is a big question mark. Interactions with other civilizations change over the course of the game, from primitive first interactions where conflict is a fact of life to late game alliances and negotiations. So to me, this means that obviously there's going to be a lot of war early on, as diplomacy will be simple, and as things get later in the game, things will get more complex. I think this sounds good. I think this sounds somewhat similar to what Civ used to be, but perhaps earlier on it's very, very simple and one way, and perhaps later as you unlock new technologies, things get more complex. Alright, next. Expanding on the one unit per tile design, support units can now be embedded with other units like anti-tank support with infantry or warriors with settlers. Similar units can also be combined to form powerful corps units. This is good, in my opinion. What would be better? Well, what would probably be better is a bigger map, as I've said again. I think this has been a conservative approach to redoing Civ 5. And Civ Beyond Earth was a conservative approach to doing Alpha Centauri. How did that go? Not very well. It wasn't different enough. We've told you guys we don't want something that's not different enough. You've made it not different enough again. I don't know. I don't want to wait 6 years for Civ 7 to be different. So, I'm not sure what to say about this. It's a good improvement. It's going to be a better Civ 5. Would I like to pay $60 plus $30 for an expansion plus $30 for another expansion plus a bunch of DLC for a reworked Civ 5? The answer is yours. I'm not sure what to say. I personally am really not sure. And my faith in the innovation of Civ is starting to wane a little bit after B and this. But again, it might be better, but it's going to have to do a whole lot to make up for the fact that it decided to stick with the exact same kind of idea as Civ 5, the same 1 UPT, the same map style, graphics that are arguably worse, and cartoony. I think it's going to have to do so many things so well to A, differentiate itself from Civ 5, and to B, be interesting and different. I'm a little bit worried. I think eventually it might come to that, and I would be happy with a game that manages to do that with these constrictions of 1 UPT still being there and the map size still being the same. I would think so, but I'm hesitant to pay $120 or whatever for Civ 6 in the end to just get another Civ 5 that's a little bit better. So I'm a little worried. I think that eventually they probably will make it better, but for now I'm a little bit worried. Enhanced multiplayer. In addition to traditional multiplayer modes, cooperate and compete with your friends in a wide variety of situations, all designed to be easily completed in a single session. Okay, so you've got your regular multiplayer modes, and then you have co-op, and so you've got you've got some scenarios that are designed for multiplayer. That's great. Will Civ 6 work better than Civ 5 in terms of, not crashing when you're playing multiplayer? I don't know. I'm not sure. So you'll have these extra little things. Will they work better than Civ 5? Will the latency be better? Will you get disconnected all the time? Will it desync all the time? I don't know. We'll have to see. A Civ for all players. See, this is where I say wrong. This is where I say wrong. This is not a Civ for all players. This is a Civ for this should have been a Civ for people who have played at least Civ 5 and want to learn more. So, Civ 6 provides veteran players new ways to build and tune their civilization to the greatest chance of success. So you've got new ways. Are they that different that you would consider them new? Are they more interesting and complex for a veteran to want to learn and enjoy more than Civ 5? I wonder. New tutorial systems introduce new players to the underlying concept so that they can easily get started. You'll be glad to know that as a veteran player, this doesn't matter to you at all. Civ 5 introduced lots of new people to Civ. You don't need to be doing this again. What you need to be focusing on, in my opinion, what they should have been focusing on is making it more in-depth. Making it more interesting, and most importantly, making it better and taking a leap of faith into something bigger and something greater. This is a safe enhancement of Civ 5, in my opinion, so far. And it will be more basic than Civ 5 in the vast majority of cases, because it's going to be the base game. So what I think is going to happen is Civ 6 is going to come out. It's going to be fairly basic. And some people are going to hate the crap out of it because of its cartoony graphics and because of the fact that it's, again, trying to appeal to a more casual audience. And I think this is a problem. That Civ should be willing to be itself and not feel the need to appeal to a casual audience every time with either its graphics or its ease of ease of learning the game. If somebody wants to learn Civ, they could learn Civ 5 and play Civ 6. But the fact that you're trying to again appeal to the general audience, even going to the fact that you're doing this, you're really going to put off some of your core people, and I think that's unfortunate. I mean, the majority of the audience obviously is the casual strategy player, and that's fine. But you have to stand up for what you are as a game, and I think that this might not push the game forward, and if you don't push the game forward, your game dies or somebody else takes the reins. You've got Endless Legend and Age of Wonders on your tail, and Endless Legend is more complicated and has had a fantastic attempt at their first game, so if you're wanting to keep that audience, which is already leaking to Europa Universalis and CK2 as a way to learn more complex games, you're gonna start to lose some of these people. So I don't know. I'm afraid to see Civ 6 go casual after Civ 5 was already a casual version of Civ 4. So I'm not sure what to say. There's a lot of question marks on here. If I were to just predict things, I'd say that essentially, perhaps eventually this game will be more complex than Civ 5. Perhaps it'll be more interesting, but it will take time. And I'm a little bit disappointed overall by the fact that they didn't take any big risks on things so far. People complained about Beyond Earth looking like a mod of Civ 5. Well, guess what? You just made something that looks like a mod of Civ 5 again. So, I don't know. I'm moderately disappointed, but I think time will tell how good this game will be. It can be better than Civ 5 because of the multiple unit per tile situation, because of the fact they've been able to learn more things. But I think that will come with time. 1, at the very minimum, expansion, perhaps 2, will eventually bring this game on par with Civ 5. But that will not fix the fact that they didn't innovate very much in terms of the map, and that will not fix the fact that the graphics are cartoony, which to me is putting me off quite a bit. So we'll have to see. But again, we don't know. So anyways, leave your comments and let me know what you think about Civ 6, and hopefully I didn't rant too much about the same things over and over again, although I do tend to do that. Have a great day, guys. Bye.